Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today for another this and that video like I am for every Monday now. And if you're new, please listen to this because these videos, these Monday videos are about all kinds of topics. I know I have to put that out there right up front because some people get irritated. I can only list a couple of the topics in the thumbnail and in the description. Otherwise it would be way too long. So some people want me to get right to the point, not realizing this is supposed to be about a bunch of different topics, unlike my more single topic videos. And it's also a way to keep you more updated on what's current because these videos are usually shot on a Thursday and published on a Monday, whereas most of my other videos can be shot at any time and be 3 to 4 weeks out before they finally publish, because that's just me staying ahead on videos in case something happens and I have a hard time keeping up. So, and it does happen. There are things that come up. So I need to take maybe a whole week off, and that really helps me out and keeps me from being too stressed out about it. All right, so let's get to the several different topics I'm going to be going over today. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention is I'm down to the bottom of this particular jar of my homemade seasoned salt. So I need to get some more mixed up, and every time I do that, I like to bring that back up again because I have a video on how to make this yourself. And the great thing about making your own seasoned salt is you can tailor it to suit your own needs and tastes. It's wonderful. So I'll link down below to the video I have on the seasoned salt and make your own adjustments accordingly as far as that goes. But with that, I also have a very old video. We don't go through this one as quick, but it's pretty old, so just keep that in mind. But I'll link to it down below. This is my it's not a salt. I don't have any salt in it. It's just a seasoning blend that I make that's more of a Mexican flavor to it because it's got chili powder and cumin. And this is one that we occasionally like to use on popcorn, or sometimes if we're just eating something we decide we want more of that flavor, just sprinkle it on top. So I'll link to this video down below as well if you're interested. And anyway, it's just a fun way, especially for popcorn. That was the main reason I made it, is for when we want that extra zing in our popcorn, we'll use that on there. And then another thing I just stumbled across the other day, this is a prototype pattern that I came up with, and that's why it's some people may like these colors. I do like green quite a bit. I wasn't super crazy about the variegated yarn once I started putting it together, so I just used up some of this yarn to create this prototype. And what these are is convertible mittens. So I started off with my standard fingerless glove pattern, which I actually sell the pattern. It's my own pattern on our Etsy store. It's a digital pattern though. Please note, I try to make everything very clear that you're not going to get on there and buy a whole finished pair of gloves for $4.50. It cost me more than that for the yarn to make these. And it cost me that much just to ship them. So what you're getting is a digital pattern. And in that pattern, I also explain how to make the full mittens. But one thing I didn't include in that pattern was how to make the convertible gloves, because I never did get that written up. I actually forgot about it. It was just me messing around. So basically what I did was starting off with the fingerless glove pattern and extending the thumb hole and this main body part up a few, 2 or 3 more rows. Then what I did was I made these pieces separately, and I started from the end and worked down. So basically the thumb, you work it up very similar to how you would for the, which I have a video on, the skillet handle covers, but just smaller, obviously, adjusting the stitches. I don't remember how many stitches around that is, but it would match the amount of stitches around that this is here. Obviously you're going to start with a magic circle and then work your way down, and then again extending out a few more rows so that when you pull it down it actually overlaps. That's important. The first pair I made, I didn't do that, and so you kind of ended up with a gap, or it kept wanting to pull apart. And same thing with this part. So basically again you're starting off with that magic circle and working your way down. And I use the basic mitten pattern as far as how many stitches around each part was, and then work down from there. And so that way, if you like wearing mittens when it's cold, but you want to have the ability to have access to your fingers to be able to have that dexterity, you just pull it back. And then I just hand stitch these in place, but that can be an option too. I considered, you know, putting a button or a snap where you could actually completely take these off if you wanted. I decided I would rather, if I'm actually going to use these ever, I haven't, but I would rather have them stitched in place. But that's just an option I thought I'd throw out there in case you're interested. So I just saw that and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So if you already have purchased that pattern, then, you know, consider doing this option if that's something you think that you would be interested in. But I also, by the way, have a pattern out there on YouTube for a pair of fingerless gloves. The design is a little bit different and they work up a lot more quickly. This is where I have that shell pattern in there. You can see in these images here. That pattern I actually have on YouTube for free. It is my own pattern. So I have the instructional video out there. I'll link to that down below if you think you might be more interested in that, or you're just not interested in purchasing a pattern. There's a free one for you. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about baking pans. So in the video that came out this last week about the coffee, and I said something about not buying even the Enamelware camp coffee pots. There's two reasons for that. One is those Enamelware ones also have that lip at the bottom. So if it's something you're wanting to use on a flat surface, you're going to have a difficult time getting that coffee to start perking. Now over a propane stove, a barbecue, or possibly or open fire, yes, those are great. But the other reason why I don't recommend Enamelware is I'm starting to throw out some of my old Enamelware is because over time it starts to chip, the enamel starts to wear thin to the point that you can look at the bottom of this here. I use this a lot. Look at that. Look how rusty that is in there. I don't feel comfortable baking in this anymore because of that. Your enamel does wear off over time, and the same will happen in your coffee pot. And though these can be great for using in solar ovens, it's just really not worth it as far as that goes. And so I'm replacing my Enamelware pans now. I don't think this will work as well in a solar oven. So the good Enamelware ones I have that are still in good shape, those ones I'm saving for only using in my solar oven, because the nice thing about those is they're dark, they're a little bit thinner, and so those are two things that make them work best in a solar oven. But for everything else, for casserole, soups, and more, I went ahead and I'm switching that out to stainless steel. So I have two of these now. They are obviously going to be more expensive, but in my opinion, this is worth it. I love stainless steel and glass, two of my favorite things to cook and bake in, and cast iron, of course. But you know, they all have their different purposes. And by the way, I have a video on cast iron care. I have a few videos out there about cast iron. So I'll link to 1, 2, or however many I got out there if you're interested, you know, how to take care of it and so on and so forth. But anyway, this came with a glass lid too, which is also nice because you don't always have to remove the lid to see what's going on in there. So this will work, and it's nice and heavy. It's got a heavy bottom, so this will make it work great in my toaster oven, except for I can't put the lid on. I couldn't do that with my Enamelware because the handle makes it stand too high, so you can't fit it in there. Thankfully, I can do most of this kind of stuff on the wood stove anyway, so I like anything that comes with a lid, because that way I don't have to cover it with aluminum foil. So I'll link to this down below. I was able to get, I don't know if you will be able to, because I know usually it's only offered once. If something has a coupon on Amazon, once you use that coupon, you can't use it if you want to buy another one. So I was able to get $15 off of this. So hopefully if I put that link down below, you'll be able to get that too if you're interested in this particular pan. But even if you're not, there's all kinds of stainless steel pans out there. I was looking for something of a specific size for using both in my toaster oven. I wanted to make sure it was going to fit in there, and in certain areas on my wood stove. So I can have two of these or one, and I did want it a little bigger than my glass one. So I love these things. I ended up with two sets like this with the lid, and I also like that you can invert the lids. Same thing with this, invert the lids, so that way you can easily stack things on top. So I can put two of these, I can put this on top of there, so when I put them away, and then it keeps everything together. But I ended up getting a couple of these from my mom. She gave them to me, and then I have another one that I had years ago. I think she gave me that one too. That's a green one. I love green and brown, actually. I like them both. So, and they all have their own lids, and so those are great for making smaller casseroles. I wanted this for when I need to make bigger casseroles or bigger pots of soup. But anyway, I'm really trying to switch all that over and get rid of the enamelware. So I wanted to answer that question because I didn't fully cover that in that video. Sometimes I get to talking and I might even have all that stuff in my notes, but I forget to read my notes and say that. So then people have to ask questions. So sorry I didn't clarify that in that video, so I hope that helps. Now a couple more things I've got here. You remember last week I was talking about starting the vinegar with the dehydrated orange peels, and I did show a couple of pictures, like a picture of the first day and then a picture of the second day, how quickly the orange peels did soak up the liquid and ended up back to their original size. I was surprised it did it that quickly. Unfortunately, my little experiment, I wasn't sure if it would work. Sometimes when something's dehydrated, it will hold together better when you go to do something else with it, but the orange peels are still disintegrating, and that's okay. I mean, your vinegars do that anyway. Your fruits, apples and pears especially, will also disintegrate when you're making the vinegar. And so I just strain through a cheesecloth or any kind of clean cotton cloth. I have a couple of big pieces of cotton cloth, 100% cotton, that I use only for straining things out. So it's for straining out vinegars, it's for straining out the grapes when I'm juicing them for making wine, or for straining out the nut milks and getting the pulp out so I can take the pulp and use it for something else. So it's not a big deal. It was just an experiment. But the thing I wanted to mention about this is part of the reason I'm not sure if I'm going to let it become full vinegar, like full strength vinegar. I think I might stop the process a little earlier and then have this be more of a nutritional drink, since this is all pretty much basically raw, because the way I dehydrate my orange peels is very natural. I don't even use an electric dehydrator for this. I do this next to the wood stove. It takes a day, depending on the thickness of the pith, it can take a day to a couple of days for them to fully dry. And because these are organic, then I feel comfortable actually using this as a health drink. So I might do that and so I can get that vitamin C as well as the quercetin and other good things that are in the orange peels. So right now, because it's only been going not quite a week yet, it's very, very sweet. So it still has a lot of sugar to work through, but it has been bubbly. I do notice that it's taking longer for it to get that full fizzy bubbliness, but it is a little bit fizzy. It could be also too because it is a little colder in the house. And yes, your temperature of your home will affect how quickly your wines, your meads, your vinegars, your kimchis, whatever it is, will ferment, or even if you're making a fermentation starter. So, and if you're, by the way, if you're interested in the fermentation starter, I get lots of questions about that. I have a video that's a pretty in-depth video about the fermentation starter, how to make it is super easy, how to refresh it, how you can keep it alive for years if you want, and the many uses it has. But one of the questions I get a lot is the difference between vinegar and a fermentation starter. Well, when you're starting them, they pretty much are the same. But the main difference is you're stopping the process of a fermentation starter after only 3 to 4 days, maybe 5 at most, because you want to keep it in that very fizzy, bubbly stage, and then you keep feeding it to keep it at that stage. Whereas vinegar, you start out basically the same, but you're wanting it to turn to vinegar, not just alcohol, which alcohol is the in-between stage. The other question I get a lot, the sugars have to first be converted to alcohol. Then the alcohol gets converted so that your end product is vinegar. And it takes about 30 days to get vinegar, whereas the fermentation starter is ready in 3 to 5 days. That's the main difference right there. And then how you use it is also different, because the end product is not going to be the same. Vinegar and a fermentation starter, once they're ready, they're not the same thing. So just starting them is the same. That's it. And then back here, I just got in my most recent Azure Standard order, which I will be talking about in a video that's already scheduled to publish. It's out there. It's just waiting to publish, about some of my favorite brands when it comes to baking products. And even though I've been using Anthony's goods for some time, It's now kind of rising up to the top of one of my favorite products over certain other ones I'm usually using. And part of that is because they're starting to carry more and more things, including some organic herbs. And I thought that was pretty cool because their prices are better than a lot of the other products I've been using for a while. And anyway, I mentioned the cream of tartar in a previous video. You only really need 2 ingredients to make a baking powder, and one of them is cream of tartar and the other one is baking soda. And why it's better to just go ahead and make it yourself. I'll link back to that video. It was also a this and that video, but I started off with showing how to make the baking powder. So anyway, the Anthony's is what I decided to go with to continue stocking up on cream of tartar, because I'm very happy with their products. I'm happy with their policies and their prices in general, just better. Now, I do actually have an affiliate link set up to their website that's outside of Amazon that I'll link to down below. However, if you don't mind shopping at Amazon, the prices on Amazon can be as much as $2 to $3 difference or more per bag. So, and then if you can get it through Subscribe and Save, you can save even more money. So what I'm going to also link to is the Anthony's Goods Amazon site, because you can get better prices that way. And either one, no matter which one you shop through, those are affiliate links. And so that does help us out a little bit. I did also, because Judys, when it comes to some of the dried dairy products, first started out really liking Hoosier Hill Farms. But one thing I've been noticing more is a few of their products have some things that I would prefer not to have in there. Not all of them. They're still really good, but also because their products are getting harder to find anymore. More and more are becoming unavailable. And the fact that they're all sold in those plastic containers, that I don't really like that as much. Where Judys, I'm starting to like Judys a lot better because they sell in these kind of bags here, which take up less room, both in your cabinets as well as it's going to take up less space in the landfills. So, and they come with a zipper pouch. But anyway, I found that the cream cheese powder, I think the last I looked, the Hoosier Hill Farm, even though I really like it, is no longer available. So I decided to try the Judys. Their prices are pretty much equivalent. They can be a little bit different one way or the other. But anyway, I did take a little bit of taste of this. Tastes just like the Hoosier Hill Farm. And so Judys is a really good brand to go with. And then the other one I've mentioned quite often is that I'm really liking for the whole milk powder, because it's all organic, is the Prescribed for Life. And the price on that did go back down to normal. I had like a week where it like almost doubled in price, but now it's back down to normal. So getting the 4.4 pound bag, that's actually a really good deal, especially considering it's organic. And I find that equivalent as far as price goes to going down to the store and buying it fresh here and then buying it in the powdered form is pretty much about the same. And that way I can just have it delivered right to my door. And we've been actually using that more even for cereal and anything else. So I always keep some blended up and in the refrigerator. Then we have the fresh milk. And I'm very happy with it. Again, I can get that on Subscribe and Save to save a little bit more. And just remember, I like the fact that it's nothing but whole milk powder. There's no added ingredients and it's organic. If you grew up in the 60s or 70s and sometimes your parents fell back on that non-fat powdered milk and it was really disgusting, trust me, the whole milk powder is better in flavor all the way around and richness. And I find that it actually keeps better than the non-fat milk powder. So that's just my personal experience. So at least give it a try. If nothing else, it's good to have that in your food storage, but don't just stick it back there for doomsday. Start using it and get familiar with it and find ways that you can use it, whether it be for making sauces and gravies, making white chocolate, or even just using as your daily milk. Now, keep in mind, I don't drink milk. I don't just sit and drink milk. That's not my thing. But I do use dairy products and I do use milk quite a bit in baking and making various different things. And then back here, I forgot to mention, this is whole barley. And of course it's organic, non-GMO. I'm finding I really like barley. So this is one of the newer grains I'm starting to stock up on and using it in bread. One thing I found though is you got to be careful with the barley. It can make your bread very, very heavy. I went a little too heavy-handed with it in my last batch of bread and it just ended up way too heavy, way too dense. But the bread I made before that, I used about a ratio of 1 part of the barley flour that I freshly ground, and then 3 parts of the organic unbleached white flour. I like the flavor that it adds. And barley, I mentioned it in a couple of my different videos. One was diabetes, and I think the other one was dealing with high cholesterol. Barley is one of those grains that's actually really good in helping with your blood sugar levels as well as high cholesterol. I mean, barley in soup has always been a great thing, but using it in breads has been kind of a new thing for me. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed my this and that for the week, and any thoughts or ideas or anything you'd like to share, go ahead and put those in comments down below. And don't forget to check out the videos I'll be linking to down below, or watch for the videos that will be coming out very soon. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.